Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of the Dramatology podcast. In this episode, I am going to be doing my final last impressions about My Standing, which is a Thai BL drama that just finished airing recently. It has held my attention for the past 3 months, and I had a lot to say about it, as you probably can tell from my previous episodes review about this drama. So I'm here again to give my final impression about this drama, what I thought it did well, what I thought like it wasn't so good at, and what I would have liked to see. For those who don't know, My Standing is basically following the character of Joe, who is the stuntman for a famous actor called Tong, and he happens to meet a guy called Ming that is friends with Tong and starts a relationship with him, only to find out that Ming is only using him as a substitute for Tong because he actually likes Tong, and because he can't get Tong, he's using Joe as that stand-in, because they are very similar, as you would expect from someone that's playing a stand-in. While this conflict is going on, Joe ends up in an accident that takes his life, and he is like reborn in the body of someone also called Joe, and has to deal with the remnants of his old life. Really, the real person he has to deal with is still Ming, right? Because at this point Ming is now obsessed with him, right? So yeah, that is basically the plot of this drama. It was very, very good throughout the airing. It held my attention. That's one thing I would give it, even though it was very toxic. It was a good kind of toxic in the way that like it was well done, and even though you're watching a train wreck, it felt good still, like wasn't that like it was just bad, right? This is actually a really popular drama, despite all the toxicity, and you understand why, because it's actually well produced. So I really, really enjoyed this drama. It did a lot of things well. I have to give it up for the actors that play Joe and Ming, because they were very good. That is Pum and Up. They were very good at really showcasing these two characters well. Especially, I have to say, Pum, who is playing Joe, because I mean his expressions, like when he's sad, I'm sad with him. When he's crying, I feel like punching Ming in the face. Like, he has such a lovely expression all the time. Like, he looks like a pure person. That's just how like the vibe you get from him, and it was just so well casted. I give it up to the director for choosing him. So let's just get right into it. What I wanted to talk about again was like my final thoughts about this drama. Now that I have seen all the episodes, right? So the first thing I wanted to say that while this drama was great, it left me unsatisfied in a bunch of ways. The one major thing that I was kind of unhappy about was Ming's arc. So when I say Ming's arc, I mean Ming's character arc and how it was portrayed, especially after he found out that Joe was still Joe, or even before that, right? So at the point where Joe is back, and you see Ming and see the repercussions and the effect of what his death has done to Ming. At that point, I was still kind of okay with it, but from that point on, I felt like they really messed up what could have been a better character development or showcasing of character development in Ming. And what I mean by that is that by the end of this drama, I still felt like Ming hadn't really changed, which is okay. I am not against the fact that he's the same person. What I would have liked was to really see that he really loved Joe, which I felt like they did not show me a lot of, right? So I don't mind that his character is still the same person, because really people don't change. That's just a fact. Ming is always going to be a shitty person. He's always going to be mean and rude and everything, right? He is the last born of his family. Like, he is spoiled, and like he will always be spoiled, right? So that is not my issue. My issue is in the fact that his relationship with Joe, and them showing me that love that we were supposed to believe he developed for Joe, was not as convincing. So in the moment where Joe finally finds out that Ming is basically using him as a stand-in for Tong, that whole sequence from when Joe finds out to Ming convincing him that he loves him, or not loves him, but that he's into him and he really likes him, and that he should not leave him, he should like just basically trying to like soothe Joe's anger after Joe finds out, right? That whole point, like that whole part, I really liked, right? It felt like Ming was desperate. It felt like he had obviously kind of started to fall in love with Joe, and he was just sad to see Joe want to break the relationship up, right? So I thought they would build up on that, right? When Joe finally comes back and we see Ming and how Ming has gone through Joe's like death, or well, not death, like the fact that he's missing, at least to Ming, right? But I felt like all we got from Ming was that one moment where he was crying when they had Joe's burial, right? Which I felt like wasn't good enough, given that like the next scene he is back like harassing Joe and like threatening to burn down his house, right? So like I felt like it would have been better if they had shown more of how like Joe's disappearance affected Ming. And I guess in that sense they would have had to rewrite what they originally wrote regarding Ming, in the fact that they made it so that Ming believed that Joe was missing but not dead, right? And so that is why you don't see Ming really like mourn for Joe. What I would have liked is if they had written him too. I've also thought that like Joe died, and to see just how that affects him, right? So the way they would have written it in my like scenario is that, okay, so Joe dies, right? But Ming is still trying to recover his body. It feels like that's the only thing that's like getting him through everything, keeping him moving and everything, right? And so when they do finally find Joe's body, that's really when Ming breaks down, right? I would have liked to like see him try and even like kill himself or something, like, you know what I mean? Like I would like to have seen him like be like he can't even live without Joe anymore, like he's so guilty, he's so like remorseful about what happened and everything, and he just can't do it anymore. And that's when like Joe will come in, because again Joe at this point does not want to forgive Ming, right? But I feel like if he had seen Ming struggle with his death, he would have like come to the realization that Ming actually loved him, right? And that would be like Ming wouldn't even have to beg, right? Joe would kind of almost save Ming by telling him like that he's actually the new Joe. I know like it maybe doesn't make sense, but I would have just liked to see more like pain from Ming, right? In the sense that I felt like Joe's death wasn't really like like it was not like a big deal as it could have been, right? I know they try to like make moments here and there, like the moment where Joe is talking to Ming's dad, and Ming's dad mentions that like he doesn't want to lose his son because he saw what happened to Ming when Joe died, right, the first time. And we see Ming in Joe's apartment like with alcohol all around him, and you can see he's wasting away. Like that's kind of what I wanted to see. I wanted to see more of that. I wanted to see just how badly Joe's death affected him, but I felt like that just wasn't something they touched on as much as they could have, right? So that I think is my biggest gripe with the way this drama ended, or progressed, should I say. And just to piggyback on that, the fact that the last few episodes was about Ming's family and, you know, the struggle and everything, like, I just felt like it wasn't necessary. They could have done more to, like, show us Joe and Ming's relationship and see them grow, right? So that it didn't seem like Joe was just, like, giving in to Ming all the time, which he was, right? That's what it felt like, right? And so, you know, I would have liked if they had like toned down the family stuff, right? Because like it was not really necessary, right? So give us more Ming groveling and show us more of like Joe resisting Ming, or trying to resist Ming, right? But also seeing that Ming is like really saddened by, you know, his death, and, you know, see that reconciliation, right? And, you know, it would have been so cathartic, and so like the climax would have been so amazing, right? I even imagined that like Ming would like go and like try and like off himself on the same cliff that like Joe fell off of. Like I had imagined this whole thing in my head. And even though like I had read the book, I was like, I hope they don't go with the book, because the book just messes up in a lot of ways. But like they did, and it's sad that they did. I really wish that, you know, and this is the issue when you adapt things, although like honestly they could have just been like Chinese dramas that when they adapt things they just like mess up the whole adaptation. They could have done that, but they decided to stick with most things, and it just didn't work for me, because like adaptation sometimes, like the original thing they're adapting is never as good anyways. So I feel like this is the one scenario I would have liked if they had adapted it to something better, right? I don't know why they always struggle with like ending a drama properly. This is something that like all regions, like be it Japanese, Chinese, Korean, they always struggle with like ending a drama properly. They just never know how to wrap things up and tie it up in a little like bow, right? It's always messy in some ways, and it's really sad. Again, that's not to say this drama is like it didn't end well. It ended well. I liked it, like, but still, it could have been better in a lot of ways. So that's my only real gripe with this drama. And yeah, just to give like a quick praise, or just a general praise to this drama, because the truth is this drama is still amazing in a lot of ways, and I really like. I give props to like the director and the writers that like could come up with a better, because it's very rare for like the drama to be better than the book, but in this case it performs so well and I really love it. I loved the chemistry between Joe and Ming. The characters were like I could believe they had like you know like they had chemistry, right? I could believe they had, you know, like sexual tension between them. It seemed like they were attracted to one another. They did that well, and they showcased that well, and so it was interesting to watch, and I just liked watching like their scenes together. It was so well done. I could believe that Joe really liked Ming, and I could see how Ming was reluctant but also was really really attracted to Joe, right? So again, thumbs up to them for like an amazing drama. This is well done. I look forward to more work by this director, because I think that she has something. She knows how to like direct, right? I feel like as screenwriters are the only thing that she needs to work on. She needs to find better screenwriters, because she is a fantastic director, and has a good vision, right? But the conversion from a novel or a webtoon, whatever, to like a drama adaptation, like she has to get better screenwriters to help her with that. But otherwise she, I think, is like she's got it. Like she, in the world of in the world of like Thai BL directors and writers, she's gold honestly, because like 90 something percent of the time they are usually very shitty. Like they just don't know what they are doing, right? But in this case, she's got it, and I applaud her for that. I hope that this was successful enough that like we will see more of her. But yeah, that's really it for my final review of My Standing. Again, it was like easily after Unknown, Love for Love's Sake. This is like the drama of like 2024. Like I don't know, 2024 has been so good like in BL drama world, and the year is not even over yet. So again, thumbs up, 10 over 10 for me. I just love it so much. I wish I could rewatch it all over again, and I hope everybody that watched this also really enjoyed it like me. But yeah, that's really all I have for this episode. Thank you guys so much for listening. I will see you again next week. Have a lovely one. Bye.